the best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Freedom Fest 2015 here from Las Vegas, Nevada. There we go. I got the fade button. You know, after you've done it 52 times in one day, you would think I'd get it down to a pat, but it's give me a little bit too much credit. We have another great interview, and actually one that's extremely germane as to what just happened the last few days. We have Tony Perez, CEO of NetLok, who's joining us. And as I said earlier, and of course, Jillian Christie, I'm so sorry. I was going to get to it. I didn't think you were going to yell at me like that. No, talk away.
It's not on.
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is on. Well, Sean, thank you so much for being on the air and keeping the waves open for truth.
Absolutely. That's what I do. That's all I do, actually, pretty much 24/7. Let's talk a little bit about NetLok. Tell everyone a little bit about the company, and then I'm going to ask you about the last couple of days because it's hit a lot, and it's.
Sure.
Every time something like that happens, I think it scares the hell out of people, frankly. So go ahead and tell me about NetLok first.
Okay. NetLok is a cybersecurity company that's going to replace passwords with photos. As most people are learning at this convention, 90% of the hacking that is occurring across the United States and actually across the world is through the password system. Even the leaders of the business community now recognize the password system has to go away. I did some research. I'm a trend person. I started doing the research and I discovered this. And I really felt that was where we were going. So now our company is about ready to release some very novel, unique software programs that you can go online and sign up to that will eliminate the password problem.
And will it cover all platforms, tablets,
yes.
phones, I don't know watches now. I guess people are using watches. It's like being in the land of the Jetsons. It'll cover all platforms.
Yes, by the end of the year, we'll have all platforms working.
And you guys had the best kind of pitch line to us the other day. You're like, come over and try to hack it. Come on, try to get through it. Try to get through it.
Yes.
You know, it's kind of the equivalent. Well, and I always tell people that when the bulletproof vest first came out, the guy who invented it
yes.
went around to all these different functions and literally shot himself in the chest wearing a bulletproof vest with a 357 magnet because it's one of those Magnum rather. It's one of those things that the proof's in the pudding.
Yes.
We could talk about how great it is all you want, but until you see it in action, you're not going to believe it. So I'm always amazed by companies that do that because you say, okay, this person has enough confidence in what they're producing and what they're putting out there that they want everyone to give it a shot.
Right.
So I think that platform, it really tells you a lot about the product. How long have you been working on it for?
I've been working on it for approximately a year. It started with a conversation with my daughter. She's a digital citizen. She grew up with...
I like that term. I've never heard that before.
Oh.
Digital citizen.
Yeah, she grew up with an Apple computer at the age of 6.
Right.
And she was on MySpace and, when the internet hit with Facebook and stuff like that. I used to go in her room and say, what are you doing now? This stuff's going to bite you
right. Oh, no,
sooner or later, right?
What are you using all this for?
So we had a huge...
It'll never catch on.
Exactly. Well, I knew it would catch on because I've been in technology for a long time.
Right.
But I was concerned about the consequences. As you know, we always are introducing technology, and then we react.
After the fact.
After the fact, and the reaction is always poor.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
It's just like this reaction right now. How are we going to stop this hacking problem? Well, you know what? The government can't help us. Police force can't help us.
Right.
It's out of control.
No, and as a company, and we live online, right? Everything
exactly.
that we do is online. Our company is almost 95% of our company, except for the words coming out of my flapping gums, is online. So it's something that we as a nation need to take more seriously.
Yes.
There's been appeals to the federal government for years now to take it more seriously, and we always get these half fix and
sure.
I wouldn't even call them a fix. And then individually, you look at overseas, how often Russia and China has hit big companies. You look at targets and places, that were hit hard, and how much it's destroying our economy and our credit.
Yeah.
Not only as the individual, but our economy as the country as a whole. It's a much more serious issue than I think people give credit to and credence to.
Yes. In fact, yesterday when I was giving the presentation here, I put up a slide showing the cost to every adult online, what they had to do to recover from a cybercrime incident. And in 2013, it was costing approximately $115 billion out of each adult's pocket.
That's amazing.
To
it's
solve
scary.
the problem. When you look at it, the globe, $115 billion. That was a 50% rise from 2012. I don't have the 2014 figures, but this is from Norton.
Right.
They've been in the industry for years, and they're saying it's the individual. I firmly believe that that's the next wave. We are all vulnerable. The hackers know we're vulnerable.
Absolutely.
And it's easier for them to go to one person and extort money from them.
No doubt. And it's so funny because there's a virus out there I'd never heard of before called NetLok or something like that, where they essentially...
No, that's not a virus. That's us.
No, it's LOCKER. I apologize.
Okay.
But that's what it was going around. And what it does is it locks your computer.
Right.
And it comes in through emails or whatever. And essentially, it will dump your entire PC unless you pay a $50 fine to this, fine if you will, but a $50 ransom to this company. And I saw it happen to somebody, and their approach to it was, well, it's only $50.
Exactly.
And to me, I was like, no, break your computer right now. Don't give them the $50. I'm just one of those standoffish people.
Sure.
But when I talk about NetLok, LOK, because I don't want anyone to be confused, but that was the name of what the virus actually was.
Okay.
It's something that affects and now everything we do is getting pushed online or over the internet. Your banking, how many online banks are there?
Sure.
Only. All your bills get paid online. We buy everything off Amazon. We live online as much as we don't want to admit it. We're in a casino where every single machine in here is online.
Exactly.
And it's everything, exactly. You put your card in, but even the computerized slot machines and all, they're all connected online. And the importance of protecting that, and never mind, we just had, 21 million Social Security numbers taken from the Office of Personnel Management for the federal government.
Yes.
If they're hitting the federal government, it's kind of a big indicator of, the advancement of these hackers and their abilities. So it really brings up the importance, and like you said, it's reactive. They'll go back and find out what went wrong, but they didn't do anything to stop it ahead of time or even try to.
Well, the real key, like I said earlier, 90% of hacking is done through passwords. Mm-hmm. So the federal government is going to have to adopt a system that will not be password-based. Our system, there is plenty of evidence in psychology and psychiatry for years saying that a photo is so much easier for a person to remember than any password ever invented.
Yeah.
So the photo system will eventually take over. The biometrics, those kind of things that they've been talking about, they are flawed. Even when Apple Pay brought out the Apple Pay, there was all kinds of problems with it. You really need a system that is not password-based, and that's what we're providing. And the excitement here are the people we have talked to. I cannot believe how many people are really, like you, they want something done.
Yes.
And quite frankly, I don't think the government is capable of doing something. Look at the rollout of Obamacare. It was a disaster, right?
I wouldn't really call it a rollout as much of a fall down.
If you're expecting the government to roll out things properly, you might look at that again.
Anyone that has faith that the government's going to roll anything out may need to look at it again.
Well, they could probably roll out more taxes. They're probably good at that. But
And we talk about this, and first of all, the picture thing is amazing, and I agree wholeheartedly. I could tell you that I have to change my passwords, and one of them is bad enough. Every 90 days or whatever it is. So now I'm like, all right, and you can't use one that you used the last 5 times.
Yeah.
So now I'm scribbling it down on a piece of paper, right? Or trying to figure it out, or I'm trying to hide it on my whatever tablet I'm using as something else, so I can. And then If you have 6, 7, 8 programs,
Yes.
well, now you're completely confused. And if you get locked out, you're not working or you're not being able to pay that bill or whatever until
Right.
you can figure it out. So I can understand why the picture aspect of it does play such a huge role. It simplifies things. It simplifies things for the user and complicates things for the hacker.
Exactly.
So
That's
how
the
can
whole
it
point.
not win?
Yeah. Well, you just mentioned another big problem using passwords. You have to reset your password, right?
Yes.
Most people don't realize there have been studies with big businesses. They spend 20%, approximately 20% of their IT budget helping people reset their passwords. Now,
I've contributed to that, by the way, just so everyone knows. I've contributed to that. I'm probably causing 18% of that myself.
well, with our system, the user can do it anytime they want. You just go in and say, "Oh, I'm going to change my picture. I'm going to use this picture today."
And it's your picture, you know it. And
Exactly. And we just all we do is when you make that exchange, we encrypt it, and now it's a totally different system.
That's awesome. That's absolutely great. We talked just before we went on the air about recent hacks. So we had United get hit, we had
Right.
the stock exchange get hit, and you said there was also other ones that people aren't even talking about. Obviously, this is your realm, and it's pertinent news. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we know that there are certain states in areas that also had power outages that were not reported, and probably because they're not well known. But if let's say you're a hacker group that orchestrated all this, what do you want to do? You want to test some of the biggies to warn people, get them confused, get them angry, get them up fearful. But you also want to try some smaller entities because they'll be different to see if your system is foolproof. So you touch here, you touch here, and you touch here, and then you can, look at the pattern that comes out of that, so you can control and make a better system.
Outstanding. It's scary. It is beyond. I try to tell people all the time, I don't like to do anything online if I can avoid it, because as much as I rely on it, and I rely on it for everything. That is my biggest fear, and I've been the victim of a hacking once before, and it cost me a lot of money, and to recoup it cost me more money than it was probably worth. At the end of the day, it was almost a wash, but I get headstrong, so I'm like, no, I'm getting it back. I don't care what hoops you're going to make me jump through. So hopefully NetLok will help avoid a lot of that, and really, you're protecting the livelihood of a lot of people, because a lot of hardworking people that put all their money and effort and don't want to stash the money under the bed or stash the money in the staircase anymore. You just can't do that anymore. So the fact that you're out there protecting people is huge, and the internet world is a different world altogether.
Sure.
We live in a flesh and blood world, but now that interworld is a completely separate existence, but it's very real as well. So I absolutely appreciate your efforts.
Well, thank you.
I applaud you guys. I really hope that it goes great. I also want to thank you for your service. We talked yesterday. You told me you're a Vietnam vet. That means the world to us. We say it all the time that if it wasn't for our military, police, law enforcement, first responders in this world, we would be nowhere. We would never have our liberty. So I take my hat off to you, and I thank you more than anything.
Well, thank you very much for that. It's actually refreshing to hear that occasionally the Vietnam vets are also remembered in the right light.
Outstanding movie. I told you about this yesterday called Ride the Thunder. You got to check it out. It's a great book as well.
I will.
And it's doing just that. And when we talked yesterday, it's an amazing one you got to check out. But more importantly, where can everybody find out about NetLok?
Oh, it's
Is Christy going to say anything? Is she just going to sit here and giggle the whole time?
She's a pretty face.
Hey, that's my job.
I'm here. I can intercede, but you all were doing so well talking about the specific problem. But I think the one thing that you forgot to mention, too, is how easy is this going to be for people to actually transition a 30-year-old habit? Because most of us think, at least I would, God, I need someone like Sean to set my computer up because I can't think of all the different ways.
Me.
How hard is it going to be? Maybe just touch on that a little bit so that people aren't fearful this is some new, huge, horrible project that you'd have to go through.
Well, actually, we have been testing this with people of all ages. And once they're set up in their system, their account, they say it's remarkably easy. We have when you go on our main site, you only have 3 choices there. You're either working with your docs or you're working with a private conversation, and that's it. But the login page, which is the key to this whole thing, everybody right now is putting in their email when they log in, right?
Mm-hmm. No, all the time.
All the time. So that's not new learning. The new learning is really the photo. And we'll help you do that the first time. And then after that, you're going to choose your photos. And once you do 2 or 3 of them, oh, okay, got it. And then once you're in, you don't revisit that unless you want to change your photo. So that would be the newest thing that you have to learn initially. After you have your photos, you know where to get them on your computer or iPhone eventually. It's going to be really simple. In fact, people are asking us, our second product called the NetLocker, once they really realized that this is a strong door and nobody can get past it, they said, we want a safe room. So we created the NetLocker.
Awesome.
That's the only reason why we did it. They asked us to do it because these are accountants, these are lawyers and people like that. They know they want to communicate privately.
They need to.
They have, if there's a dispute with their client, they don't want their client telling 20 people. They want that conversation to be in that one area. If a CPA sends a tax return to his client, he doesn't want to do it by the internet and email anymore because we know that email can be interrupted.
Hacked.
It's easily hacked. So what they're looking for is a really permanent solution. If you can't get in the door unless you authorize, and if the room is safe, you solve the problem. That's what we've done. So you go to NetLok, NETLOK.com, and it'll tell you the story about what we're doing. And we are, even though we're collecting names here, people that want to sign up and join the program, we are concerned about the safety of this building. So we're actually going to contact them when we get back to make sure that we're in a secure environment before we take their information.
That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome.
It's going to be personal service.
And is the NetLok Safe House coming up now that we're up to the safe room? Are we just we're gonna get to the NetLok high rise? That'll be cool too, right? Underground.
Yeah.
Well, you need a bunker. You need a good bunker in times of war.
Yeah.
Well, Tony, Jillian, thank you guys so very much for joining us here on the SHR Media Network. Make sure you check out the website. Make sure you check out NetLok. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Well done. Good